Hi, this is Tom Stone. Welcome to this demonstration session of transforming grief into joy. We have today our volunteer, Chelsea Hanson, and she's kindly volunteered for this. She mentioned to me that she felt she probably had some residual grief from her parents dying actually a long time ago, just kind of her intuition. And I used the muscle testing to determine that this was an accurate intuition on her part, and that it would be wonderful to clear away that energy and free herself from the burden of that she's been carrying all these years. She has watched the orientation video, 12-minute video, that gives kind of an explanation of how we're going to work. And so I'm not going to go through all of that on this call because she already knows it. If you're watching this as a recorded video, what I recommend is that you go to the Inner Greatness Global website. You can do a search at the bottom of any page and search for the word orientation, and it'll pull up some results, and you'll see one that's an orientation to these free demo sessions. So click on that and watch that webinar. Turn this one, just put this one on pause. Turn that one on. It's about 12 minutes, and it'll give you the context and orientation for how we're going to work. And then that'll make come back and watch this video. It'll make it much more meaningful, and you'll understand what's going on a lot better. So I recommend you do that. So I'm going to have Chelsea introduce herself and tell us a little bit about her sense of what's going on and what she'd like. And then we're going to get started and dive in and see if we can make her life better. Chelsea?
That sounds awesome. Thanks, Tom. The reason I wanted to work with Tom is my mother passed away 21 years ago, and my father passed away about 45 years ago. And with my mother, it feels like, oh, I might have healed my grief. I'm not quite sure. I feel like I'm healed, but I'm really probably not. And then with my dad, I think that loss was never fully grieved, even though it was all those years ago. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Chelsea. There's a very interesting study called the ACE study that was done at Kaiser Permanente Hospital in San Diego some years ago by Dr. Vincent Felitti and also another guy from the Center for Disease Control, U.S. government organization. And this was a study, it's called the ACE study. The ACE stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences. And what they found in this study is that these are far more common than anybody ever thought was the case. And they had these various different categories of childhood traumas, and they did a survey of over 17,000 people who were in the preventive medicine program at Kaiser. And what they found was that that traumas from childhood, which included the loss of a parent, by the way, okay, that these traumas that, unlike many other things that self-heal over time, like, you get a splinter and the body sort of pushes it out, you get a cold and you get a fever and, you get over it, right? And so a great many things self-heal with time. But what they found with these ACEs is that they don't help self-heal with time. They linger on, and they become the cause of all kinds of, health problems in people's lives, both emotional health and physical health. I'm doing a series of sessions. It's just starting on seeing if we can reduce high blood pressure by resolving the emotional traumas that people are still carrying around that cause, one of the main contributing causes of high blood pressure. Both conventional medicine and traditional medicine physicians, they all have this sort of sense that high blood pressure is largely caused by unresolved emotional stress. I mean, the doctors will say, oh, it's just stress. Well, just stress, yeah, but what do you do about it? They give you some antidepressant medicine or anti-anxiety medicine. It helps offset the symptoms, mask the symptoms, but it's not curative. It doesn't solve the problem. So it's okay to get symptom suppression relief sometimes when you really need it, like if you're in severe pain and you have to take some morphine or something while you're getting the real help for resolving the thing, that's there's a place for that. But to just do it ongoing, like, it's not the answer, right? So we have a different philosophy here, and that is that we use the muscle testing to identify what level at which the problem really can be solved. And that's going to be our next step. Is I'm going to do that. So I'm just going to test for you with your permission, if that's okay, Chelsea.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm testing that there is some residual grief impacting Chelsea's life on many levels. Yep, it's there. Okay. And it would be optimal to approach this at the consciousness level of the Where to Start chart. Yes. Okay. And so there's some other level where there's some significant opportunity to resolve this problem. No, it's all at the level of experiences. Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So this is great. This means we have a very good chance of sort of rooting out and resolving this old residual pain that you've never gotten over. And you'll probably feel much lighter and better. We'll see how you feel at the end. Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to be using these techniques called the Pure Awareness techniques, and I'll be guiding you through them. And just before we start that, I'm going to test to see how many of these traumatic energies related to the grieving, specifically related to the grieving, it's that we need to find and resolve. There's one, two, there are two. Okay? And there's also some reactive emotions as well. Yes, one reactive emotion. That's the out technique energies. You remember from orientation. So optimal for us to start with the out, with the in. Okay, we're going to start with the in technique energies, and the way this works best, Chelsea, is if you close your eyes.
Okay.
And sit comfortably.
Okay.
I'm going to guide you through what we call a locate technique, which is a way of being able to find the sensation that's produced by this residual energy you're still holding in your body.
Okay.
And it's very simple. All these techniques are actually very simple, thank goodness. That means that just about anybody, in fact, I would say pretty much anybody can do them if they're willing to explore this kind of thing and get a solution. So as you sit quietly with your eyes closed, you'll notice that you can feel your body sitting in the chair. You can hear the sounds of my voice and other sounds. And the other main thing that you experience when you sit quietly with your eyes closed is you'll have thoughts going through your mind. So just take a moment, and what I'd like you to do is to just kind of observe your thoughts from a little bit of a distance. And the way to do that is to not be concerned about the meaning or content of the thoughts. If there's something important, you can deal with it later. But for now, whatever the thoughts are, just kind of notice them from a little bit of a distance, like you're observing them. Easy enough to do that, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about the thoughts is that they're occurring in a background of silence. And this background of silence is just a kind of emptiness, quietness, and this is actually your awareness. It's the awareness you're using to be aware of the thoughts. Okay? And it has to be quiet, it has to be silent, or we wouldn't be able to hear our thoughts. Okay? So normally we don't pay much attention to our awareness because there's nothing there. In a sense, it's kind of uninteresting. We're interested in things, objects of experience, but there's nothing there. And it, of course, has to be that way. But today, we're very interested in experiencing that, because when you get a sense of that quietness, it puts you in a state where there's really absolutely nothing in the way of allowing yourself to feel the sensation of this old unresolved energy, this pain from the past. And so you can just make a decision to allow yourself to feel the energy of this old traumatic grief pain when the body shows it to you. And you'll find it's not going to be so bad, okay? Really not bad. It'll be very doable, very easy to do. Okay? Now, the reason you have this is because when you were very little, even before you learned how to talk, you became deeply conditioned in the habit of suppressing painful emotional experiences. And this happens to everybody. It's universal. It's because when we're little, we get emotionally overwhelmed many, many times. Nobody likes it. In fact, we hate it, and we all develop the habit of suppressing our emotions the best we can. And when we can't suppress them, then we get overwhelmed and we cry. But crying and suppression don't get rid of the pain. You still have it, even after you cry or try to sweep the energy under the rug. When you do that, it's still under the rug. So now, as you're observing your thoughts, what I'd like you to do is start looking off to the side of the thoughts and noticing that background of silence in which the thoughts are occurring. An analogy can be helpful here. It's a little bit like looking up at the sky on a partly cloudy day. You can see the clouds, and you can see the sky. And the way you see the sky is so simple, you just look off to the side of the clouds, and there it is. It's there all the time in the background. Now, we're not looking for clouds or sky. That's just an analogy. But our thoughts are kind of like the clouds, and the background of silence is kind of like the sky. So when we want to experience the background of silence, we simply notice the thought. This is why we're just kind of observing it from a little distance. And then we look off to the side of the thought and notice that quietness, silence, emptiness in the background. So I'm just going to be quiet for a moment and let you try that out. Now, it won't take long for another thought to come along and kind of interrupt the experience of the quietness. So don't have the expectation that you're going to stay in the quietness for a long, extended period of time. It's quite natural that more thoughts will come. And that's fine because we're not trying to get rid of thoughts. So each time a new thought comes, do the same thing. Notice the thought and then look off to the side and notice the background of silence again. And then when the next thought comes, do that again. Okay? So go ahead and do that for a little bit. So this process gives you the experience of a kind of sequence of little tastes of the quietness. You getting a sense of that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's great. And so as you're doing it, you don't even have to complete the thought of the sentence of the thought. Just as soon as you notice that the thought is there, just go ahead and look off to the side, even let the thought go. We're not concerned with the meaning or content anyway at the moment, so that's fine. And you'll get actually a little bit more of the increase of sense of the silence when you do it like that. Go ahead and do that. Okay, Chelsea has a sufficient sense of the quietness for us to continue with the locate technique. Yeah, good. Okay. So now, Chelsea, you can simply tell your body by having the thought, say, body, I'm ready to feel it. Show me the first energy of the residual grief that is stored in my system. And pretty much immediately, the body will show you some tight knot or ball of energy held inside somewhere. Very often it's kind of toward the center of the body, solar plexus, chest, heart, someplace. You feel something?
Yeah, it's exactly where it is, like right here.
Yeah.
Solar,
okay, great.
Yeah. Yep,
Yeah.
solar plexus.
Yeah, solar plexus. Very common to store them there, yeah. Okay, so notice that there's a field of energy there. It's not just a point. There's a field of energy. And in that field, the sensation is weaker or softer out at the edges and more concentrated or condensed toward the center. And if you adjust how close to it you are, so you get as close as you can get to it without it being overwhelming, it'll be easy to sense that central, strongest part of the energy field.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Terrific. Now, the reason we want to put our attention right into the center of the strongest part of the energy field is that this is where the essence of the energy resides. And what's needed is that, when you were 4, you couldn't complete the experience of the pain of losing your father when it happened. It was just too much at the time. And you had a little delicate, developing nervous system anyway. So that residual energy is an incomplete experience from the past. Now, we're not completing it intellectually, like getting an understanding about it or something. That doesn't do the job. What we're doing is we're completing the energy that's producing this sensation that you're feeling now. Okay? And the way to do that is just to put your attention, just gently noticing this central strongest area. And what will happen is that the intensity level may stay more or less the same for a little while, but as you just gently notice it, you're in the process of beginning to complete the incomplete experience of that energy that's held there. And so what will happen eventually is it will start to soften and become less intense. And when that happens, let me know.
It's starting to become less intense already.
Terrific. That's great. You're doing it just perfectly. So now we can get a little closer to whatever's left of the energy. So go ahead and do that. It's kind of like being on Google Maps. You sort of click in for a closer view, a magnified view. And you get the distance just right so you can really feel it, but it's not overwhelming. And just continue to keep the focus of your attention right into the center of the strongest part of the energy field. And after a time, it will soften some more. Now, each time it softens, immediately get closer to it again and adjust the distance so it's optimal, which means you can really feel it, but it's not overwhelming. And just keep doing that. The energy will get less and less as you're completing more and more of it. And just before it's gone, the experience will start to change. It'll feel like the last part of the energy is kind of dissolving or dissipating, a little bit like the fog burning off in the morning sun. And then it sort of just dissipates and moves away, and then it's gone, and you'll be back in that same quietness that you were experiencing when we started the locate technique. So when the energy's all gone, then you can open your eyes.
It feels like that initial spot is gone.
Okay.
I have a different spot, I think, that started out, but the initial strongest spot feels like it's gone.
Okay, very good. So sometimes we will store this energy in multiple places in the body, sort of like having backup copies, right? It's like too much to store in one place. So this is what's going on with each other. Yeah, that's good. So it's not that the energy moves, it's that the first one becomes less and less, and when it's less enough or gone, then the other place where you're holding the energy sort of raises its hand and say, hey, I need your attention over here. Come over here. So let's do that. Let's give the body what it's calling for.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and go back into that additional spot where you feel it and do exactly the same thing. Put your attention right into the center of the strongest part of the energy field and just simply notice it. As it gets softer, get closer, just like you did before. You're doing it perfectly, Chelsea. It's great. How's that one going, Chelsea?
I had like a visual in my mind of it coming up and out of me. It's like I could almost see something coming up and out of me.
Uh-huh.
So it seemed like it went away, and then it seems like a new spot started in my neck.
Okay, maybe another backup copy. This is going to be great. Go ahead and keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
And go handle the one in your neck. That'll be great. Doing some deep spring cleaning here. This is good.
It feels like the one in my neck is gone, and I have like one kind of on my side in a different spot on my side that started.
Okay. This is still yet another backup copy of the first one. No, this is actually the energy location of the second trauma, grief trauma from the past.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this is good. We're making great progress. Your body's just like, you're in the flow of it. You're getting the sense of it really well. So go ahead and do the same thing with this one. You're getting a sense of how to do it now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah, I have a pain in my chest, and this might be a different one again.
Yeah, this is another backup copy of the second one. Yeah, very good. Go for that one too.
The same one is still there, and it actually feels a little more intense.
Yeah, sometimes it can be that way when you really start to allow yourself to feel it. You really realize that there's really quite a bit of energy there. There's something really unresolved. But this energy has been kind of, even though you haven't been aware of it previously, it's been causing you to have thoughts and make decisions that are sort of based on this pain. And that's not good. So this is going to be really valuable to get it completed. So go ahead and adjust the distance so it's just right. Even if you have to back up a little bit, if it's too intense, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, get the distance so you can really feel it, so the process of completing the incompletion can continue, but just not so close that it overwhelms you, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and it's easy to get the sense of that and adjust it. A little better?
It's still there. It's about the same intensity.
I meant a little better in terms of easier to handle it by adjusting the distance.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, good. Very good. Yeah, don't have an expectation of the timing. Sometimes there's a lot of energy there, and the body just needs to have you continue to pay attention to that central, strongest area where the essence of the energy resides. And, it's just going to be whatever it's naturally going to be. You can't force it. You can't make it go away. You can't really do anything to it other than just notice it so that you continue the process of completing it. And if it stays more or less the same for a while, no problem. We're just hang in there, and you'll see it'll gradually start to soften again.
In my mind, I keep having a scene in my childhood bedroom come up.
Oh, interesting.
It's like the image is just staying there as I'm feeling the feeling.
That's completely okay. The images and sort of memories related to things can often come up while we're feeling the energy. They can be sort of embedded in or related to the energy, but you don't need to concern yourself about it. It's not a problem. It's just a kind of side effect of putting your attention on something that has that image associated with it. So it's completely okay, but just kind of let it be sort of like one of the clouds blowing by, and continue to keep your primary focus of your attention right into the center of the sensation of the energy where it feels the strongest. And when this is all gone, the image will be gone too.
Okay.
You're doing great, by the way. How's it going?
I only feel a little that's left.
Okay, great. So click in real close. Feel the center of it.
Okay.
And the basic concept here, Chelsea, is we want to allow ourselves to feel the energy so thoroughly, so completely, that there's nothing left to feel. Then it's really done.
The pain, it suddenly got bigger and it moved out to my stomach now. So it feels like it switched.
Okay. So really good that we're doing this. You had a lot of stuff hidden down in there. Yeah. So go ahead and shift to the new area.
Okay.
And just continue in exactly the way you're doing it. You're doing it just perfectly fine.
Yeah, I guess the pain moved out of my stomach and now it moved into my chest.
Okay. No problem. Lots of backup copies. Let's just go there. The body's very smart. It sort of knows that if it stores it all in one place, it may just be too much for that part of the body to store it or handle it. So, for it to spread it out like this and put it on different hard drives, so to speak, put the file there, that's actually very intelligent of the body. The body's pretty smart, actually.
The pain is still in the same spot. Now it doesn't seem to be moving.
Yeah, so it's completely okay. Don't have an expectation about the timing.
Okay.
Again, it's just that sometimes there's more energy in one place than another. And it just means that the process of completing it just takes a little longer. So it's totally okay. We're so kind of in the habit of trying to make pain go away that it's quite common to have a feel like that. Like, come on, how come it isn't getting done faster, But it just takes whatever natural time it takes. So we need to just kind of be a little patient and hang in there. And yeah, you're doing great.
Yeah, I think it moved to a new spot now, but I feel a lot of movement. It's like right in the middle of my chest now.
Yeah.
So it seems like there's a lot of activity.
Yeah. The quality of the energy can change sometimes. Sometimes it's kind of in layers, and some of them will feel more bristly or active, and some of them will be more just kind of dull and heavy. They can have different qualities to them. But that's okay. As long as there's still some sensation there, whatever it is, then it means there's still some completion to be done. So just be patient and hang in there. You're continuing to do really great. I've tested several times quietly for you while you're doing this, so you're doing it just right. And so just be a trooper and kind of keep on keeping on.
I still have some left, but it felt like something just happened, right? It felt like lighter.
Oh.
It felt like a bunch of junk just left or something.
Oh, wonderful. Very good. Very good. So it still feels like there's a little bit left?
Yeah, but I felt lighter. I could feel something leaving.
Wonderful. This is really, really good. This means that some significant layer of that stress has just been completed and sort of lifted off. It's a lovely feeling when that happens. That's great. So still a little bit more to feel here. Great. You just hang in there. You're doing super. You just experienced the real benefit of doing this.
There's one sensation that I'm watching and it just keeps moving around.
Okay. Something special we need to do for that? No. We just kind of, wherever it goes, you just follow it.
Okay.
And let the body's wisdom guide you by showing you the sensation of where you need to put your attention. And it's actually very good because as you're putting your attention there and it's getting weaker, then the body's saying, okay, now there's a little bit more over here. Come on over here. So it's not so much that it's moving as it is that you're being successful actually at resolving aspects of the energy that are stored in different places. This is all from the wisdom of your body, which is very good. So you just go wherever the body is, kind of like the purpose of the sensation is to call out to you and say, hey, come over here. I need your attention over here. Yeah? So you're doing great. This is just perfectly natural and right. Might be another layer of it that just dissolved.
Yeah, now it's like something's happening in my throat.
Mm-hmm. Wow, this is great. This is going to make a huge difference for you, I think, Chelsea. You've been carrying the burden of this around all your life. Just like in the ACE studies, that this stuff doesn't tend to self-heal, and we can see why, but also can create all kinds of mental and physical health problems. So this would be really great to get this all out of it.
Yeah, I think it's my throat just cleared, and now I have a spot in my chest.
Okay. We'll go for that one. There will be an end to this, by the way. Only so many places it needs to store the energy.
Yeah, now it feels like it just moved my stomach.
Okay. You know what to do.
Okay. It's kind of like I'm having spots pop up all over. So I go to one, it goes away, then I go to the next one. So it's kind of like spot after spot is popping up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really been distributed all over the place. That's amazing. It's also really terrific that we have had the clear intention to clean all of this up, and that's allowing your body to be able to show us where the various energies are stored. I have a feeling you're getting close to the end here, so don't be discouraged. It's not endless. And yeah, just testing for you that, yeah, I think we're getting near the end now. So hang in there.
Yeah, it did seem that like that.
Very good. So it's our intention to be cleaning up specifically these energies associated with the residual pain from the grief, not every single trauma that you've had in your life.
That's what I was wondering. I was like, oh.
So let's just do a little check at this point.
Okay.
Take a little break and open your eyes.
Okay.
And we'll do a little testing to see, how we're doing here.
Sure.
There's still more of this residual grief energy of these two energies stored in Chelsea's system. No, I think you got it all. Yep.
Okay.
Got it all. This is great. Okay. You were a real trooper. You hung in there. It's really great. Very, very good. So the in-technique energies, we had tested at the beginning, there were two, and you just sort of naturally found them, the second one, and then all of its backup copies. It was amazing how much your body distributed this all over your body. That's incredible. So this is really an excellent example and indication of what I was talking about from the ACE study. This stuff doesn't just self-heal, and it's because of the nature of our conditioning of that suppression and avoidance. In the ACE study, they didn't understand why they didn't self-heal because they didn't discover that until they actually did the study. So fortunately, in my learning how to recover from my own post-traumatic stress, I discovered the why. And it's this simple insight about that, getting overwhelmed so much when we're little and we don't like it, and we just develop this habit of suppressing the emotions. Well, what this does is it's a setup for becoming really lousy at handling our emotions, actually. because we just don't know what to do. We get so deeply in the habit of suppressing, we just do it automatically without even realizing we're doing it. So this is very, very good work, and this gives you a lot. It's actually one excellent thing about it is you have a lot of experience of successfully resolving these kind of energies. Okay? Now, we did also test at the beginning that there's what's called out technique energy, which is this reactive emotion. And I was taking the liberty to test a little bit on your behalf while you were doing the earlier in technique energies. And my sense of it is that and you can tell me if you relate to this, that there's been a kind of undercurrent of a feeling of like, oh, it shouldn't have happened that way. How come I lost my father so early, lost both my parents, It's like, it wasn't supposed to be like that. There's a kind of like a kind of feeling of disappointment and something along those lines. Now, you've had it for so long that you may not, think about it much, but is it accurate? I mean, you think you've had some feeling like that?
I think there's a undercurrent of sadness.
Yeah, exactly. So that sadness is the wish that it had been otherwise.
Oh, sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And this is caused by having it's quite natural to just assume that one's life is going to be, quote, normal and that you're going to have your parents for a long time and, like that. But things happen the way they do, right? So when our expectations are not met, typically we have some kind of upset reaction, sadness or anger or frustration or disappointment. These are the kind of things we have. So this is kind of an aspect of grieving that we also want to take care of. Right? So the way that out technique energies work is exactly the opposite of the in technique energy. Instead of going in, the energy doesn't feel so much localized inside the body. It's more like it radiates out into the space around you, creating a kind of cloud or aura of energy that sort of surrounds and engulfs you. And when you have that, and it's like you say, kind of a lingering undercurrent of sadness that's present, this also is kind of undermining and sabotaging aspects of your life, right? So we want to get rid of this too, okay? And again, it'll also help you feel much better. By the way, one of the things we're going to do is in a couple of weeks, we'll do a little follow-up call. Yeah, maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes, something like that, just to kind of check in, see how this work that we've done today, or not quite finished yet, but when we're done, see how it's impacting your life, whether you've noticed any changes. And in fact, as you go along during these next couple of weeks, when you notice something, oh, wow, that really feels different, make a little note of it so we can talk about it. Okay, that'll be super. Great. Okay. So I'll guide you through the out technique. It's also very simple. This typically goes quite a bit faster than what we've just done.
Okay.
And it's totally okay that it's taken the time. I'm going to be editing out those long periods while you're just being quiet. So, and put a little, in about 10 minutes, after 10 minutes, and then we come back. So that'll make it easier for the people who are watching. Okay, very good. So I'll guide you through that out technique energy. Again, the first step is to allow yourself to feel it. So we're going to go into the quietness again, like we did before, and then you're going to tell the body to show you the out technique energy of that residual sadness, disappointment, whatever that's there from your not having your parents as long as you wished you had. Okay, so go ahead and notice the quietness again. Should be pretty easy to access. You've tasted it many times now. If you need to look off to the side of your thoughts to notice it, that's perfectly fine.
So will it be like a sensation I feel in my body?
Well, there may be a kind of like origin point, like a kind of fountainhead of it.
Oh, okay. My hands started tingling immediately.
Yeah. So, but what you'll notice if you allow yourself to is that the energy sort of radiates out from the body and it just kind of creates a kind of aura or cloud of energy. It's much softer. It's not so localized and concentrated like the in technique energies. You get a sense of that?
Well, it kind of seems like there's a cloud around me here.
That's it. That's exactly it. You've got it. Okay. Now, sometimes as you start to allow yourself to feel this, and I'm going to tell you exactly how, it'll be actually bigger than it might seem when you initially start to feel it. So notice that the cloud is there. And the next instruction is very simple. We just go see how big it is. And the way you do that is you let your awareness move out into the space around you, kind of through this cloud or aura of energy. And you just keep going as long as there's something there. It'll be, as I say, much vaguer and more diffused than the in-technique energies. We just keep going, moving through it out further and further and further until you come to the place where the energy sort of starts to fade off into the surrounding quietness. And you keep going, and it just fades off more and more. And pretty soon you come to a place where there's no energy, and there's just that quietness that you've been experiencing before when you're looking off to the side of the thoughts, and also when you've finished each of the in-technique energies. So just keep going until you find the quietness. And when you access the experience of the quietness, let me know.
It seems like I'm going away from the energy.
Yes, that's right.
It's like this teardrop I can see in front of me.
Yeah.
But as I go away, it's like the energy's following me as I'm going away.
It'll do that.
Okay.
It'll seem like that. What's actually happening is that the energy field is actually bigger than you think.
Oh, okay.
And so you're moving through it, and then, still moving through it. That's completely okay. So just continue to go further and further. You will eventually outrun it.
Okay. I can like see myself away from it. Like I can see it.
That's exactly how you do it. Yeah. And so as you move out further and further, you'll have a sense that you're actually outside the field of energy and in the surrounding quietness. When you get that sense, let me know.
Yep, I think I have it.
Okay, very good. So now go a little bit even further away from the energy field just by noticing the area of the quietness that's a little further away. And the reason to do this is it'll help make the distinction between the energy and the quietness even more clear. Easy to do.
Okay, yep, I think I have
Great.
it.
Okay, very good. So now go much, much deeper into the quietness, quite far away from the energy field. And notice that there's nothing in the way of doing that. You could just keep going on, keep forever. It's like there are no barriers, no walls, no limitations. And so take a few moments to just kind of enjoy how vast and limitless and expansive and peaceful this quietness is. There's no sadness out here. You get a sense of that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's sort of a nice place to hang out, actually. Okay, now if you look back at the energy cloud that you were just inside of moments ago, what's happening to it now?
It got like thinner, and it got more like stretched out.
Yeah. Doesn't have the grip on you that it used to have when you were inside of it. And notice how your perspective is different. You can see things much more clearly. When you were inside the energy cloud, it was kind of like having dark glasses on. And the moment you got outside of it, it was kind of like taking those dark glasses off. And now you can see the whole situation in a new light. And you can see that this sadness has been a reaction to the natural expectation that, hey, my parents should have been around much longer. Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that the sadness is not actually about what happened. It's about that your expectation didn't get fulfilled. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, this expectation is a story that you have made up in your mind. Quite natural to do that. It's understandable. But what we want to do is to question whether it's of any value to you to continue to keep this story active in your awareness. Now, when you were inside the cloud of energy, you didn't even realize that this was going on. But now you can see the situation much more clearly now that you're outside of it. And notice that keeping this feeling that it should have been different and then the resulting sadness reaction to it, this isn't changing the situation of what happened, right? Yeah, and it's also not really helping you have the life that you want. Can you see that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And in fact, what it does is it kind of drains your energy because you're using it up and having this sadness reaction, which is not benefiting you, just making you, slightly miserable.
And it's kind of like the cloud is outside of me now, but
That's right.
But I'm afraid it's going to come back and stick on me.
The thing is, we don't want it to come back, and the way to keep it from coming back is to not energize this story anymore.
Okay.
And notice that you have also much more of a sense of choice about whether you keep this story active in your awareness or not, because nobody's making you keep it, right? It's just been kind of like a bad habit that you didn't realize you were doing it. Yeah?
Sure.
Yeah. So actually, it's actually quite easy to unplug the power cord because, see, now you're aware of it. And now your ability to choose what you put your attention on and what you allow to be in your consciousness is much greater. So all you have to do is simply decide that you're not going to entertain this story anymore. You're not going to give it any real estate in your awareness. Yeah, and you just make that decision, and then the last part of the energy and the story will just kind of collapse back into the nothingness out of which you created them.
I do see the cloud like disappearing.
Exactly. And now you're so aware of this old habit of doing this that if it started to rear its ugly head out of nothingness, you'd recognize it immediately and you wouldn't give it any energy. I'll show you a way to do that if it comes up.
Okay.
And what I'm going to have you do is purposefully think that story for a moment, but don't let the story finish. Just stop it before the last few words of the sentence of the story. Go ahead and try that. It's possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now do the same thing. Think it again and stop it halfway. It's okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now stop it after the first 3 words.
Okay.
And now after the first word.
Okay.
And now, even just having the sense that it could start, just have the intention to disallow it to even start.
Okay.
Now notice that you have the ability to not allow it to have any energy. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is great. This is a whole new capability. Now, you can't do that unless you're outside the energy field. But that's why we start with getting outside of it, is so that you can see it differently and do this, okay? Now, the likelihood of this sadness coming back for Chelsea is now pretty much 0. Yeah.
Yay.
Good job. Good job.
Yay.
Think about the whole topic of your parents passing away, and let's see if there's any residual feeling of discomfort at all.
Okay. There might be a little in my chest, but I'm not sure.
Let's check and see. There's still something in the chest. Yeah, just a little bit. This is in technique energy. Do quick in technique energy on that one in your chest. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Feel the central, strongest part of it, and just kind of laser-like, just kind of dive right into it. It'll disappear fairly quickly.
When I imagine the laser going in, it's like it blew it right out.
Hey, you're getting good at this.
Yeah.
You're getting good at this. This is great. Wonderful. So now all of the energies associated with the traumas of the parents dying, all the grief associated with that, all the sadness, all these energies are now completely resolved for Chelsea. Yes. There's still more of it hidden in there someplace. We have to go find it and root it out. No. Hey, great job. 2 thumbs up for you.
Yay. Thank you.
This is great. So you've learned something really wonderful today, and that is you've learned how to resolve unresolved emotional energies of both kinds. There are just these 2 kinds. Now, everybody has lots and lots of entries in their databases. Even though there are only 2 categories, there are lots of entries, okay? Because you've been suppressing your emotions all your life, and just like everybody else. And so this is quite common that we accumulate this backlog of lots and lots of these things. Okay? Now, in order to support people in getting good at doing this and becoming much more truly emotionally competent, okay? This is a whole new definition of emotional competence. If you look up emotional competence on the web, you'll see that all the training in emotional intelligence, emotional competence, it's all about learning how to manage the emotions with the intellect. Now, that's okay. There's no problem with that. People get some benefit from that. But it doesn't hold a candle to this process. Because what we're doing is just completely obliterating them, just getting rid of them, so that they're gone. And that's a much higher, it's a quantum leap up in the whole definition of emotional competence. And you've just started to learn how to do that, which is fantastic, okay? So in order to support people in being able to get good at this, I've created a whole bunch of different resources, many of which are free. And I'm going to tell you about one of them, and also for the people who are watching the video. I created an app. And the app is a free app. It's on both Android and Apple platforms. It's called Awaken Your Inner Greatness. And if you do a search on Apple or Android, whatever kind of phone you have, you'll find it, because it's the only app by that name, Awaken Your Inner Greatness. And if you download the app, it has the audio instructions to guide you through the techniques embedded in the app, and a special kind of audio player where you just have to swipe the screen to the right. And as you swipe the screen to the right, you'll get the next audio instruction for that particular technique. And so all of the techniques that we've done today are in there, plus another one called the wholeness technique. You can try that. It's really fun. And the app is free. There's also detailed instructions on the website, on my Inner Greatness Global website. There are detailed instructions for how to use the app for depression, anxiety, heartbreak, grief. Yeah, in fact, those of you who are watching this who have some residual grief, which is pretty much everybody, almost everybody has that, like Chelsea, you can use the grief portion of the instructions on the website with the app to resolve that. And if you find you can't do it all yourself, no problem. We've got a whole group of certified, well-trained, highly effective coaches who know how to guide you through any part of it that you're struggling with, and you can book sessions with them on the website. So we've got all kinds of resources to support this. There's also a special program called the Freedom Practice, which really helps people accelerate getting really, really good at this. And if you like, Chelsea, I'll send you some information about that. You can read about it, see what's there. So let's do this. Let's follow up in about 2 weeks.
Okay.
We'll set a time by email, okay?
Okay.
Or Facebook, whichever is easiest. And and you make note during these couple of weeks, the kind of changes that you're experiencing in your life. It'd be very, very interesting to hear how it affects you. Okay. And so we'll check in just for a short call, maybe 10, 15 minutes, something like that, to get a report. And then again, probably in about 3 months, we'll do the same thing. Just because we really want to make sure, like you were concerned, what if it comes back, right? We want to make sure it doesn't come back, right? And if you have any trouble with that, I'll just help you with it so we really make it permanent.
Okay, awesome.
Fantastic. You did a great job today. Thank you so much for volunteering.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
You're so welcome. You got a nice smile on your face. So I think
now I'm smiling, right?
That's really good. So wonderful. I will let you know when it's an appropriate time. I'll let you know fairly quickly about a follow-up time. Just have to check my schedule.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, very good. So nice to see you, and thanks so much.
Yeah, thanks again. Bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.